Why is the basil covered?
The basil is covered because I live in a cold climate. And if I had that outside, it wouldn't do well. Now let me tell you about my greenhouse. Remember how I told you that God showed me that in the greenhouse there's no way to grow food? Can I tell you what a good daddy is? I'm reading this article about tomatoes growing in full sun with 300 phytochemicals and one's greenhouse with 50. And I have this greenhouse. I'm not paying attention. So in his kindness, he sends a strong wind the next fall, blows my greenhouse over, and breaks 4 panes of glass. So in my arrogance, I says, no problem. I bolted down to I'm on my way to the glass shop, and I clearly heard, excuse me. Excuse me. Don't put the glass back in the roof. Let the sun come in and get photosynthesis to your plants. And so that's why my greenhouse has no roof on it. But I'm growing great basil in there. The glass on the sides knock out the wind, but I'm getting direct sunlight. I get rain, and I'm good. So if you have a greenhouse, take the roof off. You can still use it, but get the roof off because you want to get photosynthesis. I want you to come over here to my chicken pen and take in the chicken odor. Yeah. And here's why there's none. You see this huge amount of yard waste in my chicken pen? And if you don't realize how huge it is, look outside the fence and you see how much lower that is out there than here. You see, this is all my yard waste. See, all my weeds, all my grass. Yeah. And so, people with care, yes, supposed to abundance. If I garden is really in good shape, it needs no help. But if you see my fence down there, you see how low it's getting? I have to get this stuff out of here because I'm losing my chickens because I have too much. I have too much. I've got to get my compost out because there's too much. My garden doesn't need it, but I have to. See, at all levels, I'm being pressured and pushed with abundance. I'm just telling you, man, it's hilarious. It's like, wow, God. Awesome. Look at my fig tree in my chicken pen, full of figs. I'm just telling you, man, every space, you know, it's just, and see my nice grapes here, and see the little grapes coming on? See this nice little clumps of grapes? See right here? Down here? Those are all grapes, you know? It's just like, every space is just unlimited abundance because it can be. And that's the Father.
And the chickens don't eat the grape leaves, I guess, or do they?
No, the chickens, if you look at my chickens, you see they're not pecking one another. They're very much at ease. They're very well nurtured.
You don't grain them.
Do I grain chickens? And again, I always come back to you with a question, does God grain chickens?
That's not.
They get some grain in the summer when the grass goes to seed, but that's it. All winter long, they have no grain. And if you ever observe birds in nature, especially pheasants, beautiful foliage, I mean, their feathers are gorgeous. Well, no chicken you see in captivity looks that good. In fact, they look terrible, really ugly, very sick, very weak. You're kind of sensing like, well, what do they eat? They eat grass all year. Can I tell you about the lies you get in school? The big one is the four major food groups. This just shows you how you've given up your brain. Track with me. They told you in school there's 4 major food groups. Well, you read the first chapter in Genesis, and God says there's 2. And God said, vegetables, fruits, and their seeds will be given to you for food. So there's 2 food groups. But man says there's 4. And we have the insanity to believe man. And so you believe that you get protein from meat. Everybody? And you believe that. Be honest. But you've never looked at the animal that produces the protein. Let's use a horse, for example. Look at a horse, because they're very around us. You look at the size of those muscles in their hindquarters, and the size of those bones that they have for that structure, and how fast they can run, and how long they can run, and how much they can pull. Where are they getting their protein? Grass and water. Where are they getting their calcium to maintain those huge bones, to carry all that weight? They're not drinking milk. They're getting it from grass and water. And you see, we believe the lie that you get calcium from milk and you get protein from meat. When all the evidence in nature is saying, that's not true. That's completely... And here's the irony. Now that you know where I'm going, you know the answer. Which has more protein? That kale over there or buffalo meat?
Well, that must be the kale one.
kale, and 80% more, and it's bioavailable. Where the meat in the the protein in the meat isn't bioavailable because it takes forever to break it down and digest it. And you see, here we were given an owner's manual. You know what I think is so cool about God? Is He knew where we were going, and He knew we'd go to school and get lied to, so He wrote the first chapter of Daniel. He's really thoughtful. Ever read the first chapter of Daniel? Here you've got these 4 young men, they're teenagers because Daniel's the prime minister 70 years later, so he's a teenager at that time. And these 4 young men were paying attention to the owner's manual. They're tracking with God. And the people around them are noticing that these guys are really sharp. They're smart. They're together. Let's bring them to the government and use them because they're really good. So when Daniel gets here, he makes this incredible statement. He says, I will not defile myself with this dead, processed, funky food. So he goes to the guy feeding him and says, listen, buddy, if you give us vegetables and water, because this food's not good for us. So the guy who went to school says, oh, Daniel, you got to have the 4 basic food groups. You got to eat this food because if you don't, you won't look good. It'll take my head off. So Daniel says, let's get real. Give us a 10-day test. 10 days. We're not going to die in 10 days. And you examine us and connect the dots. I love the results of the test. Did you ever read it? It says they were brighter. They were smarter. And the King James says they were fatter. It didn't mean they were obese. They had more muscle mass. They were more buff on vegetables and water than all this dead processed food everybody else is eating. And see, God put that there because He knew He'd be lied to in school and He wanted you to get it. Here's the evidence. Genesis 1:29 is real. That's the truth. There it is.
And no eggs.
I eat eggs.
You do?
Eggs is the most complete whole food that exists. I love them, but my eggs aren't different than your eggs because my eggs are all orange. The yolks are bright orange. They stand up because my animals eat nothing but live food. And so the eggs are good. I don't eat the chickens because I don't care for meat, but I like the eggs. So, any questions?
You said these are your sheep over here?
No, they're not. I don't have sheep. A lady brings them here because the poor lady this spot goes broke because her pasture this time of year is all eaten and not coming back, and she doesn't have water, and the hay is costing her $20 a bale, and she brings them here. And I want you to all hear me because this is very significant. On a pasture this size, this is 1.25 acres. This, according to the books, will support 6 sheep. 6 sheep. There's 13 out there. They've been here since April, and they're not getting my grass down. And they won't get my grass down. I had an experience that was really revealing. A farmer brought in 53 adult sheep here one April because he wanted to get his pasture back because of all the chemically fed funky grass the sheep eating down. And so he says, I can probably have them here a month. I'll give me time to get it reseeded and fertilized, and I'll get my grass back. He brought them here in April. He didn't take them out till October. 53 adult sheep, and they never got my grass down. So this guy's a good shepherd. He's coming by every few days to check them out. And he calls me up one day. He says, I have to call you. He says, I'm seeing my sheep do something I've never seen them do ever. Every time I come to your place during the day to check them out, they're all laying down.
Way over there. Right now.
They're laying down. And he says, I've never seen my sheep lay down during the day. They're on their feet all day long, walking and eating. How come they're laying down at your place? And the Holy Spirit immediately spoke to me, Psalm 23. He lays them down in green pastures. I says, because my soil is so nutrient dense and my grass is so full of minerals, your sheep don't need to eat as much, and they're satisfied. And they're just resting because they had enough. Where on your place, with chemical-fed grass, they're always hungry because your grass has no nutrients, no minerals, and they're always hungry. It's huge. You see, all summer long, this will never get watered, the grass will never get down, and it's just screaming and saying, you know what's so cool about what's happening here? This is all the overflow from my garden and orchard. Are you getting God? This is after my garden and orchard eats all it wants, because it's on a grade, the overflow runs into this and feeds all of this. Are you getting this? I mean, this is like I didn't do anything, it cost me nothing, and I have so much that I can feed my whole pasture with the overflow. Just telling you, man, this just rocks my boat because I know how this is supposed to operate. I know how farmers do. And I'm watching this thinking like, man, this is amazing.
How do your chickens get their grain in the summer?
The chickens get grain in the summer because when the grass goes to seed,
Right.
that creates grain.
So you throw it over to
I don't do anything. I'm just telling you in nature how they get it. Mine get none of it.
Okay.
Because they get so much, I mean, all this live food. They're gonna get all that arugula next
Got
week.
it. Okay.
All those radishes out there, all that mustard. My chickens eat better than most people.
Now you must
To
be
say
great.
nothing about chickens. I mean, they really eat well here. And you can see what's laying out on the top here. They don't even keep up with all I bring them.
No rabbits? You don't have rabbits coming
No,
in?
I have you see those dogs?
Uh-huh, that's what the dogs are for.
The dogs are pretty effective.
Yeah,
Nothing comes
for
in.
the rabbit and the deer.
Everything. Rabbit, cougar, deer, bear, all of it. Eagle one day. This was so cool. I tell you, where's Tova? She's 16 years old. She's getting pretty old. But I had an eagle come in here several years ago to kill my chickens. It never happened before, and it was really concerning me. So I'm locking my chickens up in the chicken pen because I want to save them, but they're mad, so they're eating their eggs because they want to be outside. I said, my God, what do I do about this? And God says, put Tova in the chicken pen. So you know what I did? I'm arguing with God. I'm telling God like he didn't know. Tova's a bird dog. She's a chocolate Labrador. They're designed to kill birds. I'm telling God. This is how stupid I'm just being real. This is how I operate. I'm telling him, like, I know better. And so he was just so cool. He says, well, listen, just bring Tova, sit her down, and explain what you need, and she'll do it. Just tell her to lay down, don't hurt the chicken, she'll get it. God's telling me this. This is okay. So Tova, come here. So she comes and she looks at me like she hears this is Tova. I'm going to put you in the chicken pen. You got to lay down. You can't hurt those chickens. You got to lay down. So I put her and she's laying down. Like, she just does it. And I'm watching. Chickens are running around. She's not even there. I don't pay attention to her. So I went and put a bar in the ground with a rope because I knew if I left her, she'd just dig herself out. So I'm watching, and she's just laying there. It's cool. So I put some water in there for her. I take off. Took her out at night. Bring her back the next day. 3 days into it, I'm over my orchard, I hear her on her feet just barking her head off. On this branch right over here, on this fir tree, is this eagle. I'm out there in the orchard so I get perspective. This eagle is 3 times the size of my dog. It's huge. But Tova is an alpha. She backs down to nothing. And she stood up to that eagle and he would not come down. So I had to touch those chickens. I kept them for 3 more weeks and never saw the eagle again. I'm just telling you, God has all these answers, all these solutions, that when he tells us, I sit there and argue with him, tell him it won't work, when it's just like amazing. He's just really good. See that other dog out here? She's a bird dog. Her name is Tirza. Over here. Tirza, come here.
So pretty.
She's a beautiful dog and she's got an incredible spirit and her name means delight. Tirza is Hebrew for delight. Tova means good. So the other day, one of my chickens flew out of the pen. And Tirza, as a natural design bird dog, was on it. We're talking like instantly was on that chicken. And she had it in her mouth, dead center of the body, holding it perfectly. And I'm yelling, Tirza, come here! I'm over here in the orchard. She comes running to me, and she gets to the fence and says, drop it. And she dropped the chicken and just walks off through the fence unharmed. And I'm thinking, like, you are an amazing... See, bird dogs are designed to have a soft mouth so they don't crush and damage the bird because you're using them for hunting. And I couldn't believe how she was designed. I was like, wow, God. It was amazing. The chicken just walked off. Like, I'm okay. I'm thinking, like, Tirza, man, you are an awesome dog. But I don't want, I don't want to kill it because it destroys it because all I wanted to do it. It was just like, it was so good I was there and I heard it happen and I caught it, but it just, So I so enjoy these experiences I have just to validate and show God's incredible creation, how he's made things in such order, such perfect design. And just so good for us.
Do you have problems with raccoons getting to the chickens?
No, because my dog. I'll just tell you how my dog, I'm on the porch, just my own business. All of a sudden, Tova takes off the porch, dives into that slough over there, and I watch this raccoon go up in the tree. I didn't know the raccoon was there. I had no clue, but she did. Well, I'm out here this January doing some pruning, some people are watching me, and all of a sudden, Tova takes off the fence and just starts barking her head off, and they're saying, what's she barking at? I'm over there. The guy's looking, well, there's nothing there. So he's watching. All of a sudden, he sees this cougar walk past the fence, and he says, "Whoa, your dog?" Yeah, she does. I mean, they're just very in tune, and they're such a blessing to have because they just do all the work for you.
So, sifting screening the soil. At what point how do you?
Well, I only screen this for the garden because I don't want to take all that junk that's in there out there. But all the wood chips aren't screened. It's just the stuff in the garden.
So that the chicken manure goes with it.
The chicken manure. Now this track would be the chicken manure. Look! Come look at this stuff out here. And with your keen eyes, try to locate chicken manure. You see, there's such a huge mass of organic, this is why there's no smell here. Because there's such a huge mass of organic material, the chicken manure is lost in the mass. And that's why there's no odor. And that's why there's no issue with heat.
So it's not hot.
Because it's lost.
Yeah.
You see, all these issues we have is because animals are concentrated in places too dense for them. And this is the thing that amazes me. Everybody listen to me. This is, again, shows you how they erased our brains. When something stinks, listen to me, you know in your spirit something's wrong. Are you hearing me? Something's wrong when there's stench. We live in a culture now with PhDs, master degrees people who drive by feedlots where you can't breathe because the air is so toxic, go into chicken pens where the ammonia about chokes you, and then go to the store on these clean aisles and buy that meat and eat it. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? These animals are living in environments that are you couldn't even exist in, and then you're buying that meat and eating it. Do you see how our brains have been erased, and we're not thinking? I'm serious.
So you eat brown rice and potatoes and that sort of stuff.
I grow my own potatoes. Now, if you want to really get the reality of that, if you haven't seen it yet, look up on the computer and watch the film Earthlings.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one.
It'll wake you up.
Yeah.
It'll bring you. I don't know what his worldview is, but I love the way he ends that film. He says there's an old saying that goes around. It says what goes around comes around. Another saying, you will reap what you sow. I'm telling you, man, it's huge. And this is the world we're living in. This is what God said. Everything that can be shaken will be shaken. We're there. It's happening. You know, and we need to pay attention and wake up because it's coming down.